Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Gabriel, market analyst from SmarTrade, and let's have our daily briefing for today. So let's have a quick market recap on yesterday's data. All right. So first thing is we have the manufacturing PMI for Germany for the month of January. So the previous data was 57.4, and the market forecast at 57. So the release time yesterday was 4:30 p.m. So the actual data was 60.5. So this one is actually good for the PMI data for Germany. So it beats the market forecast and the previous data. So next thing is we have the services PMI for Germany as well for the month of January. So the previous data was 48.7 and the market forecast at 48. So same goes with the release time, 4:30 p.m. So the actual data, it was 52.2. So better than the market forecast and the previous data as well. So we also have the services PMI for Eurozone for the month of January. So the previous data was 53.1 and the market forecast at 52.2. So the release time yesterday was 5 p.m. So the actual data, it was 51.2, which is slightly lower comparing on the market forecast and also the previous data. And of course, the manufacturing PMI data for UK as well for the month of January. So the previous and the market forecast, same at 57.9. So I mentioned yesterday that I will not be expecting any much volatility after the release of this data. So the actual data was 56.9. But however, indeed that the data for this one did not create any much volatility, but after the US session or during the US session last night, the British pound against the dollar went down sharply, almost 60 pips. So right here, it went down or slightly lower for the manufacturing PMI. So let's take a look on what happened on the British pound against the dollar after the release of this data. So 1 hour after the event, the price of the British pound against the dollar moved in a range of 33.7 pips, and it ended with a bearish trend of 32.2 pips. So obviously, the British pound against the dollar did not benefit from this data since the actual data was lower than the market expectations. And also, we have the services PMI for UK for the month of January. So the previous data was 53.6, and the market forecast at 54.8. Unfortunately, this one is also lower at 53.3, so did not beat the market expectations and the previous data as well. So, with this data, um, it's also similar to the manufacturing PMI. It created the volatility for this pair for British pound against the dollar. So the price move, same goes with the manufacturing data for about 33.7 pips, and it ended with a bearish trend of 32.2 pips. So let us see what is the current structure of the British pound against the dollar. So right here, this was actually the whole trend of the British pound against the dollar last night. And obviously, the structures on the downside. So one of the factors that affected this one to go down is, of course, the PMI data, since it was actually lower than the market expectations, and we did not see any much move after the data. But however, as I've said earlier, during the US session, the market went down sharply all the way here. So it started to move from this area and it went down here. So that's 80 pips aside from the 60 pips move during the data. So overall, the market price moved for about 80 pips. And for the closing of the US session, it went down for about 40 pips. And as of the moment, the current price is around the 1.3473 territory. Next is we have the PMI data for US manufacturing for the month of January. So the previous data was 57.7 and the market forecast at 56.7. So the data was lower at 55. And we also have the services PMI for US for the month of January as well. So the previous data was 57.6 and the market forecast at 55. So this one is lower as well at 50.9, but however, this one did not create any much volatility. To be specific on the dollar index, so dollar index remains at its range for about 95.95. So this was actually the trend of or the structure of the market of the dollar index. It was actually traded back and forth around the 95 area and also the 95.81 territory and also around the 95.60 level. So for today's economic data, during the European session, we don't have any much data for this one, but we have to focus on the business expectations for Germany. So the previous data was 92.6 and it's being forecasted at 93, slightly higher. And for the US session, same goes with the European session. We don't have much today. So later at 11 p.m., we have to focus on the consumer confidence for the month of January. And also we have the housing price index monthly basis for the month of November. So the previous data was 1.1% and it's being forecasted slightly lower at 1%. All right. Thank you everyone for joining our daily briefing. Stay safe and have a great day.